Welcome to Fandom Power.
Hey, welcome back to Fandom Power presents the Fandalorian, and guess what? It's a little bit of bonus content. We're going to call this one the Aftershow, I guess, for our last episode of
the Chapter 15 Aftershow.
The Chapter 15 Aftershow. For anybody who's been paying attention to entertainment news this week, earlier this week we had the Disney Investors Day.
Ugh.
Tons and tons and tons. Actually, I was at my weekly Axe League as it was happening, so I wasn't able to follow it as it was rolling out. But we got a ton of new Star Wars news, and I thought it would be fun for us to sort of come together and maybe talk about that, what's been announced, and how do we feel about it, and just kind of what do we know about it so far. So I sent a link out to everybody to StarWars.com because it's got a pretty good breakdown of what's all there.
Nice.
So let's take a bit. Let's go through each piece and kind of what do we know about it and how do we feel about that.
Let's do it.
All right. So first one up, looks like we're getting a film based on Rogue Squadron.
So good. So a few of the details, they're saying that this is going to take place in the future.
Let me see here. Introduce a new generation of starfighter pilots as they earn their wings and risk their lives in a boundary-pushing high-speed thrill ride and move the saga into the future era of the galaxy.
Yeah, man. And so also directed by, I forget her name.
Patty Jenkins.
Wonder Woman, which was a decent flick, man.
So Wonder Woman 1984 is coming out Christmas Day. It's her second kick at the character. I think people are definitely content to give her a high profile project like a Star Wars project, and I think she's going to deliver.
Yeah. Oh hell yeah! It's very exciting. I really liked the Michael Stackpole novels. The Wedge Antilles Rogue stuff. So I mean, if you're going to give me the same vibe but with all new characters and stuff, I can get into that. I could totally get into that.
So now that it's set in the future, it kind of blows out my theory, but as it was unfolding and I was sort of getting snippets off the internet, I'm like, oh, a Rogue Squadron series. I'm like, that's cool. So, Dennis Lawson turned up in The Rise of Skywalker, and I could totally see him doing it as a narrator, like the young Indiana Jones Chronicles, where old Wedge sets up the story, and then we time shift back to a younger recast Wedge.
And you might just get an Admiral Wedge Antilles running the show as far as the fighter pilot. He could be every third or fourth episode, or I guess it's not a show, it's a movie, but he could certainly be the guy behind the desk easily.
Yeah.
In a new generation of pilots.
I think in terms of like what we know, at least where our show is concerned, and we've speculated about, certain properties smoothing over other properties. So Mandalorian smoothing over the sequel trilogy, like Clone Wars smoothed over the prequels.
Yes. Absolutely.
So in my mind, a Rogue Squadron movie could be a great vehicle to redeem Admiral Akbar's death.
Oh, that would be great.
He should have been. It should not have been the Holdo maneuver. It should have been the Akbar maneuver, and he was.
There's a little scene in there. If we can go deeper, there's a scene, and I think they might have thought about filming it differently.
Yep.
But then Carrie Fisher died. But when she does the Mary Poppins thing that everybody hates so much, which I don't hate at all.
I don't hate it either.
Cool.
I feel it was the living force.
She literally cuts through a hologram of Snoke's ship, and it bisects.
Right.
And then she passes through it. You know what I mean? She floats through the hologram and it distorts and cuts in half. And
That's
then
right.
Comes back together behind her. So, which is a thematic. Like, I think they were going to kill Leia there.
Oh yeah.
But then I think that the actor died and they reshot things.
That's entirely possible.
Sure. Yeah, it just seemed weird that they foreshadow Leia destroying the Snoke ship and then they don't execute.
True enough.
Yeah.
So George Lucas tried to do his World War II epic Red Tails, which ultimately borrows from a lot of the source material that he studied to make Star Wars. So in a roundabout way, maybe the Rogue Squadron will be, Disney's version of Red Tails, which is his version of Star Wars.
Yeah, Red Tails is fantastic too. Actually.
Yeah, it's fun to watch.
Super enjoyed it. Yeah.
So, any more on that one, or shall we move on? Let's move on.
There's a lot.
We have an untitled Taika Waititi-driven project. Taika's approach to Star Wars will be fresh, unexpected, and unique, said Kathleen Kennedy. His enormous talent and sense of humor will ensure that audiences are in for an unforgettable ride.
Star Wars comedy?
I don't see why not. I mean,
it could work.
The other franchise is doing it.
Yeah.
Trek is doing it with Lower Decks.
But I mean, the parody, what's that other one? The Orville.
That's not an official Star Trek.
No, but it is.
Oh, very much so.
Heavily parody.
Oh, yes, of course it is.
Oh, yeah.
I like Taika Waititi's sense of humor in Ragnarok. It translated very well for me. And I also like, his deadpan portrayal of IG-11 is what made that character funny.
No, totally. Yeah.
Everybody, did you guys see Jojo Rabbit?
Not yet.
I haven't seen it yet. You recommended it last time.
Okay, go see Jojo Rabbit.
See
Jojo Rabbit, and you'll see more, because he plays Hitler in that movie, and it's zany. It's quite zany. So
nice.
I don't know if he can go that far with the Star Wars project, but I would be comfortable. I mean, life imitates comedy, or comedy imitates life, right? So if it's played that way, sure. I mean, yeah.
He's also heavily into the action too, so that it could be just like a buddy comedy or an action comedy. It could work, and it's been rumored that he's attached to a project for quite a while. So this one isn't a crazy surprise. It's more like a confirmation for me, and it's way out there considering they have title cards for most of the other stuff,
but not that.
But not that.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit more in the ether, but it's certainly something to look forward to because he's a talented guy.
Yep.
And yeah.
So next up on the docket, we've got, and this one we've known about for a while. It's stalled out for a little bit, but things are back on track now, and it's the Obi-Wan Kenobi series.
Hello there.
The big thing about this one was when they released the time period.
Yeah.
And the fact that Hayden Christensen will be reprising Darth Vader.
You underestimate my power.
Ewan McGregor back as Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi for now they're calling it a special event series. So does that mean
be
a limited series?
I heard before in the rumors. I haven't heard this solidified anymore, but it was only going to be 6 episodes total.
Oh, I get it. I get it. He's in hiding.
Such a legacy character to do too much with.
Yeah. You have to be careful how much you get him involved in anything. Yeah. Lest it take away from him trying to hide and watch over Luke.
And I wouldn't mind terribly if like the first episode was 10 years after Revenge of the Sith, and the second episode was 12 years, and the third, you know what I mean? Like,
right?
We could do time jumps, and it might make it a disjointed overall arc, though.
Yeah, maybe. Actually, I just watched a Netflix movie, a Christmas movie that actually does that, where they make effective uses of the time jump, but it's called Holiday, and it's about Holiday. Watch it, and maybe not necessarily for the comedy. I mean, and it's a passable comedy, romantic comedy, but the way that they use the time jumping, it's these two people. They decide that they both have come out of like serious relationships and they don't want any of the commitment issues, so they make a pact that for every holiday on the calendar, they would be each other's +1. So they have like American Thanksgiving, which is in November, and then the next instance of the movie is skipping ahead to Christmas. And then we skip ahead to like, St. Patrick's Day and like all the holidays. So they use the time jump that way, where it's like weeks and months at a time.
Sort of similar to When Harry Met Sally, which takes place over like a decade and a half. It takes place over like 15 years.
Yeah, so that would be even a bigger example of that. But Holiday does it pretty well in the small scale.
Nice.
And as you say, the big, I think the biggest thing was the return of Hayden Christensen, but as Darth Vader. not
So
Anakin
you had said
Skywalker.
earlier off air that maybe it's going to be just his head, in the tank, or while he's meditating, we get some cool stuff of him meditating in the comics. And
I honestly feel like that is the best use of Hayden Christensen at this point because, and no offense to him, because I don't have an issue. Revenge of the Sith is my favorite of the prequels. I think
Sure.
he was great when he made the transition to Vader before the armor, but he's a small guy.
You're shorter than I expected.
He's a thin guy. He just did not fill out the Darth Vader suit for me, and it wasn't convincing for me.
The Jedi turned against me. Don't you turn against me?
So I really do think that the best use of him will be close-up headshots where maybe he's in his meditation chamber and we can get an actual look at his face. Otherwise,
I'd certainly love to see a broken Vader mask with his eye peering through.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
classic, like the Rebels.
yeah,
That'd be
exactly.
cool.
Because otherwise, I mean, you body double him and it's James Earl Jones,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
And for me, and we got to get this done quick because he's getting up there.
Yeah.
And for me, one of the more interesting things is they give a title card at the end of the little. Well, it's not even. It's just the sand.
Yes.
And then but it's called Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's
Yeah.
not called the Kenobi Show, or it's not called Kenobi a Star Wars. It's Obi-Wan Kenobi, which is that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's a Jedi title. It's not called Ben Kenobi Visits the Desert.
Yeah.
So that's kind of telling.
And this entire series is going to be done by Deborah Chow, who is one of our roundtable directors for Mandalorian. I liked her episodes. I thought they were good. Did she not do The Gunfighter? I'll have to go back and have a look at it.
Yeah.
But I liked her stuff, so I'm super excited. Obi-Wan Kenobi is my favorite Star Wars character, by the way, for anybody who doesn't know that.
100%.
The prequel trilogy, if anything, he and Qui-Gon Jinn are the highlights of that whole, and the villains obviously, but who got shortchanged. But yeah, Obi-Wan, he's my guy, and I cannot wait to see what they do with that because I just loved Ewan McGregor in that role. Totally did it for me.
Fantastic. It really, and they really develop him in the Clone Wars. So he's such a well-rounded character, and when you rewatch A New Hope with all that backstory information with it, just adds, like, you go, what the hell did Alec Guinness know while he was delivering some of those lines?
Yeah,
Ostensibly
really.
nothing. They hadn't even been thought of yet.
Well, I mean, Alec Guinness, who was like, what, space wizards? I don't get it.
I'll do it. Give me the money.
Yeah, exactly. Had no idea what he was talking about, but sure, you want me to, I'll deliver the lines.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Next up, we kind of had an inkling it was happening, and we're getting Star Wars Ahsoka.
Oh,
So this is going to be completely written by Filoni. It stars Rosario Dawson, and it's produced by Filoni and Favreau. So I assume roundtable directors for this one as well?
More than likely.
yeah. I would think that ostensibly the same crew you've got going right now.
Quite possibly.
Probably guest directors and stuff. It also ties in with, and we'll just bring it up, that the something of the New Republic.
The next one is, we're going to get there.
But they're all three are of the same era, and they're all intertwined.
Yeah, so
what I've read, and they're all Filoni and Favreau controlled. Those three, those two and the Mandalorian will all be intertwining.
Ahsoka and Star Wars Rangers of the New Republic.
That's what it is. Rangers of the New
Set within the
Republic.
timeline. Set in the timeline of The Mandalorian, the new live-action series from executive producers Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni will intersect with future stories and culminate into a climactic story event. So as you say, all three series, Mandalorian, New Republic, and Ahsoka, are all going to cross over.
It's interesting because we talked about the three-prong attack.
Yeah, we did.
Right? The Mexican standoff, which we thought might be coming in the final episode of the season, but it looks like it's going to be coming in some big.
Yeah.
But that almost makes me nervous because that means that they have an end game.
They do. They had to, though. I mean.
No, I get it, but I wish we talked about. We could do this for 10
years.
Yeah,
exactly.
we know we probably won't be now.
Yeah, so there's a little metaphorical tear for that.
And I really hope that they get to the end game in terms of that, unlike Netflix's Marvel series, which were just horribly abandoned in the middle.
So, yeah, unfortunately.
Well, or there might be hope for that yet.
I heard Charlie Cox potentially coming back for Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
I heard that, yeah, possibly for Spider-Man 3.
So let's talk about Ahsoka specifically for a second here, because we really chucked around some ideas, and particularly talking about Ahsoka the White versus Ahsoka the Gray, and where does the Magistrate episode fit in the timeline as compared to that epilogue of Rebels. So without having seen a single episode, we're not going to get there. We're not going to get there, presuming that the Magistrate took place before Sabine and Ahsoka went off after Ezra. We're going to get some stuff before that, but we're not going to have some big time jump. Presumably, we're not going to have a time jump to after that where they've come back.
I came at it a different way. I thought that maybe the first episode of Ahsoka will be after the events of what just happened in that Mandalorian show.
Yes, and I agree with you on that sense. I just think that we're not going to have this like jump ahead and suddenly, Sabine and Ahsoka are back from wherever they went.
We're going to get there, and I think that the big event that you're going to find, bring Bo-Katan and all the elements
get everybody.
Together,
yeah,
I think that the end game will be the Ezra Bridger.
Entirely possible. Maybe that will be
that you could have there. That's the biggest dangling thread we've got.
So, Rangers of the New Republic. What do we think about this?
I think it's going to be a Captain Teva show, bro.
It's entirely possible. The Ranger concept, I guess it depends on, like how do we,
interpret that?
How do you interpret Ranger? Like park Ranger,
Army Rangers, right?
Yeah, right. Texas Ranger.
Mm-hmm. Well, see, now Texas Ranger, the interpretation of a Texas Ranger works really well.
Yeah.
For because they're mounted.
Absolutely, they are.
Right, ostensibly, you're mounted in the cockpit of an X-wing.
I look at that badge that Kara's wearing, and I equate it to a Texas Ranger badge.
Right, so this also could be the Cara Dune show, which has been rumored.
So, do we want to talk about her for a second? I don't want to politicize our show, because it doesn't interest me at all. I just want to enjoy it for what it is. But,
certainly,
she's been under fire the last little bit because of her social media, her politicizing of her social media. She's had some support from her co-actor, from Pedro Pascal, but she's also been kind of, and I think it was a bit of a caution there, like, hey, like, don't bite the hand that feeds you. Like, this could come back on you.
Yeah, I heard when it first dropped, there was like rumors of, they're going to get rid of her, and this is why they gave her the badge to give her an out from the series.
Well,
crazy mayhem theories, right?
I heard that the other day as well, but I'll say this much: like, we know that the series was written and shot in its entirety before we ever saw it. So that doesn't hold water. What does hold water is once this season is over, if they want to fire her, there's nothing preventing them from doing that. So
no. Could
she show up in Rangers of the New Republic in some capacity? Sure, she could. And
as soon as I said it out loud, it makes way more of a sense than a Captain Teva show. Although he'd probably be in it.
I would think so. Like, they're out there. They're out there doing it. And if not him, Trapper Wolf, has to make an appearance, and, maybe the other director pilots.
No, exactly. That could be a whole, yeah.
Is this a show, I'm a big fan of, like I said, I want to get the Rebels crew back together. Is this a way, to get Rex back into the galaxy?
I certainly think that the end game will be the dangling thread left at the end of Rebels, especially knowing that Filoni is crafting this.
Yeah,
that's going to be the end game. We're going to get resolution of Rebels, and I don't know if it's going to take 5 years or 10 years of this. Eventually, our grandkids will know what happened to Ezra Bridger.
All right, next one up. We're getting a what's this called here? Lando. Everyone's favorite scoundrel, Lando Calrissian, will return in a brand new event series, so another limited series. Mm-hmm. Justin Simien, creator of the critically acclaimed Dear White People and a huge Star Wars fan, is developing the story. Daniel Glover's coming back as Lando Calrissian.
Has that been confirmed? Yeah.
I think so. I think it's all but confirmed. I'll double check that when we get off the air, but if that's not true,
I just hadn't seen that. There was some speculation as to whether it was going to be like Billy D. Williams narrating the Lando
I saw that too.
Files or
something
of that nature.
You know what though? Again, why not? I love that idea. I love that as a storytelling device, like having the episode set up by the more veteran character who's recounting tales of yore.
I love that about the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles.
Yeah, it's a wonderful device, and I think it would play well, especially knowing that, I mean, Billy D is all but unable to do anything these days.
Right, so if he was just sitting in a starship talking, it would be perfect.
Totally, right? I mean, a guy who says my flying days are over, but yet at the end of the film, he's talking about, well, let's go find out where you're from. So he's off crusading somewhere else. Maybe, and it's set in that period where he's reflecting on a younger himself.
Right. And I think you're maybe going to get the resolution. If they're doing this in a big way, they're not going to just tell a story about him smuggling spice. They're probably going to get a resolution to the Darth Maul, Han Solo.
That's a great way to,
right? Like,
the whole Kira thing.
And to come at it from an angle that's not so, I guess, divisive to fans. You could come at it from a Lando angle, still have the Solo character and Chewbacca in it, but not focus on them.
Yeah, it's not their story.
Because if you did a Han Solo series, all we would get was half the community complaining again.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So this is a neat way to approach that, I think.
One thing I'd like to see out of a Lando series, again, if we're going to pull stuff from the EU and pull it forward, I'd like to see the Lady Luck make an appearance.
Hell yeah.
The Lady Luck, his private yacht. It's a pretty cool looking ship. Next up, another one that I've been really super excited for, Andor. Andor, the tense, nail-biting spy thriller by Tony Gilroy, set to arrive in 2022. Diego Luna will reprise his role as rebel spy Cassian Andor, and will be joined by a fantastic new cast that includes Stellan Skarsgård, Adria Arjona, Fiona Shaw, Denise Goh, Kyle Soller, and Genevieve O'Reilly as Mon Mothma. Good to see her come back again.
That's awesome.
And we can't count out, I don't even know why they didn't put it in there, Alan Tudyk as K2, K2SO.
Things have changed, but I haven't heard anything to the contrary.
Nor have I.
And we got a title finally, because we were all like,
what's it going to be called?
Rebel Intelligence was what I wanted it to be called. Heavily.
I thought it would have been something more, sort of heady like that as well, but nope, it's Andor. So
these are all very character-driven shows. This is what this sort of thing is telling me, that these are character-driven shows. And so Andor is the official title.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. In Rogue One, his was the most compelling character of anybody. That whole scene in the belly of the U-Wing where he basically puts Jyn in her place, like, oh, suddenly it means something to you. I've been doing this since I was 10 or something. Like, wow, like this guy's seen some shit, and I'm sure he's got some baggage. So I'm super, super keen to explore this character some more.
Oh yeah, I can't wait for this one. And I hope it's non-going and not just a limited series like some of these things.
Well, it doesn't say limited, but that doesn't necessarily. There's a lot
of ground to cover in the there's that story running in tandem with Rebels of the early rebellion is really compelling to me.
Yeah. This next one that we're going to talk about here for a second, this one kind of caught me off guard because I wasn't expecting this. But they're going to deliver something called The Acolyte.
Yeah, so we've been hearing rumors about her attached to some sort of female-centric Star Wars project for quite a while now, a few months now.
Leslie Headland, creator of Russian Doll.
Yeah, it's a pretty good show, actually. It's well written, it's dramatic and stuff. But
it's listed as a mystery thriller.
Yeah, so this should be neat because we're actually going to explore. Apparently, we're going to explore a Dark Force user for the first time as our protagonist, and the era is the end of the High Republic.
Yeah, in the High Republic, so an era that we've not seen before. So interesting, like you say, the idea of exploring a dark side character. Presumably they're already a dark side person at the outset of the show, and. Or maybe they're not. Who knows? We've seen people fall. We saw the fall of Anakin Skywalker.
That's always the danger for the Jedi. But what we're getting from all the literature from the High Republic, and I've read the Charles Soule novel now, is that there's no dark side out there. It's still a temptation, but
Yeah,
that there's no Sith to worry about. That everything is within the scope of what the Jedi can handle,
that's right.
and they're more like Texas Rangers. They're more like cowboys.
So
who
for
wield the
me,
Force.
when I read the words acolyte, I immediately go to Sith. Like,
I know 100%.
I don't go Dark Jedi. I don't go alternate Force using tradition, although that's entirely possible too. I go right to Sith.
It has to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Like the resurgence has to begin somewhere. And hearing Lucas talk about, and this could be where they're going, but hearing Lucas talk about his original plans and having Darth Maul be the big emperor kind of character in the sequel trilogy that he wanted, and that having Darth Talon, if you guys know.
Yeah, Darth Talon. Yeah, the
Darth
the
Vader
red
character
Twi'lek.
in this. Right. So we could be getting a Darth Talon show?
Maybe.
Yeah.
If the acolyte turns out to be a Twi'lek Jedi, do you know what I mean? Like, oh,
yeah, exactly. And there's another little telling part there is the title card has the word slashed in half with a lightsaber stroke.
oh yeah. So, as I said in the Mandalorian, in the Jedi episode, Star Wars is always better with lightsabers. So it'll be fun to see some of that stuff played out. And again,
yeah.
I'd like to see what a Jedi Council, that's, what is it, 200-300 years prior to the films?
I'd really like to see some of that stuff.
I'd like to see
check out this Charles Soule novel, man. It's real good.
Yeah.
He's the same guy that's been writing all the Star Wars and Darth Vader comics.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of continuity going on there. A lot of tight stuff.
So that kind of winds it up for the live action stuff. So
You're listening to Fandom Power.
few animated projects coming down the line here. This first one, I gotta tell you, I'm not impressed. I'm sure it will be good, but I have my reasons for this. They're doing a series about the Bad Batch. And if you haven't listened to our show before, I'll just quickly put it out there for you. I am not a fan of the Bad Batch as this badass clone commando unit. And I say that only because the Clone Wars went out of their way to canonize the clones from the Republic Commando video game. And I always thought that they got the short end of it. That, Fixer and Scorch and the other two guys, they already were this clone squad that you called in when your ARC troopers, like when Rex and Wolf and those guys, when they couldn't do it, you called up the Republic Commandos and like, oh shit, they made them the real deal.
Yeah.
Now
weren't
suddenly,
the Republic Commandos set in the old Republic? Weren't they part of the old?
No, they're clones.
Oh, are they really?
Yeah,
Sorry,
they're
my
clones.
bad. Perfect.
Yeah, so and they made an appearance in the Clone Wars at least twice.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Actually, now that you mention it.
So then you have this final arc. The first 3-episode arc of season 7 of the Clone Wars introduces this Bad Batch where there's, certain genetic markers that were fucked up on these guys. And so they each have one particular
enhanced trait.
Yeah, trait that is like off the charts, right? And that's neat, but it's like, why are you're reinventing the wheel? And I didn't feel like it was necessary to me. So, but apparently they believe in it enough to want to do a series on it.
And in the sizzle reel, I think I spotted Fennec Shand.
You did spot her. Now I'm curious to see how that plays out because always love to make those connections.
There's a few little things in that, like parts, like you see Tarkin in the sizzle reel, and he's giving them orders. So are they still Empire now that they?
Well, they are, because this series is going to be. This is the immediacy after Order 66. So,
right. So are they going to like break out and start becoming like
presumably these guys don't have the same inhibitor chips, or maybe they have something different, or they escape it some other way, because they're the end of Clone Wars. They're just out in the galaxy waiting to be called for their next mission.
Oh, it's true. It's true.
Right.
So there could be some interesting thematic things to explore here, if not the characters themselves.
Well, they have fives with them too, right?
Yes.
And didn't fives?
And I love fives.
So fives already had his chip removed. So presumably he's probably like, hey, you got these things in your head. We got to get them out. Because fives, he knows, right?
I don't know if fives would stick around and work for the Empire.
He definitely wouldn't, especially knowing that he was chipped, right? After what the torture he went through.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting for me to see more of Tarkin. The
Yep.
Tarkin novel, if you guys haven't read it, was awesome.
Okay, good to know.
Awesome. He's super amazing in the comics. He goes hunting with Darth Vader.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, real cool. Real cool. So that's interesting. I'd like to see some more of Tarkin there.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks slick. I could take it or leave it, and if it's on, I'll definitely watch it.
The show synopsis says that they will take on daring mercenary missions as they struggle to stay afloat and find new purpose. So
yeah, so I think you'll see the first couple episodes them loosening their grip with the Empire and then trying to make their way through.
Oh yeah, for sure. Our next one is something called Star Wars Visions. Presenting an all-new creative take on the galaxy far, far away, Star Wars Visions will be a series of animated short films celebrating Star Wars through the lens of the world's best anime creators. The anthology collection will bring 10 fantastic visions from several of the leading Japanese anime studios, offering a fresh and diverse cultural perspective to Star Wars. Man.
I would love to see a Ghibli movie. Oh my God. And Disney certainly owns them.
They do now, yeah. That fan film, that anime TIE Fighter film, totally lends itself to this.
I was just going to bring that up.
Yeah. I mean, for anybody who's never seen it before, if you're interested, if you want to sort of take a look at potentially what we might be getting, YouTube the animated TIE Fighter short film and watch it about 10 times, because you're going to need to get all of the anime goodness out of that.
And there's a few on YouTube. I couldn't tell you directly where to look, but there are a few Japanese animators that have redone classic scenes from Star Wars in Japanese animation.
Yeah.
And some of them are spectacular. If I can find some links after the show, I'll send them out, or I'll put them on our Facebook.
Awesome.
Or whatever.
Yeah, put them up, send them over, and we'll make sure that they get put up. And you too, Hank, we have some similar tastes in terms of anime. Now, I'm not a huge anime consumer, but as a young kid back in the 80s, the late 70s and the 80s, like when we were first getting exposed to what would become, or what was known as anime in Japan, we got these American translations of things like Beast King Go Lion became Voltron, and Science Ninja Team Gatchaman became Battle of the Planets, and then of course the adaptations of Macross, Southern Cross, and Genesis Climber Most Beta became Robotech, and those things really, and those things really resonate.
Yamato.
Yes, yeah, Star Blazers. So I mean, it's not a new thing for a Western audience. I'm curious to know, like, because anime tells stories in such a different way. They don't tell stories the same way like the North American storytellers typically construct their narratives. So are we going to get that, or are we going to get something more akin to the Animatrix, where the story beats and the writing are completely Western, whereas just the style is Eastern? So
you might find that certainly shorts is telling, because that sort of, unless you're going to do just a sort of a Jedi training montage or something very slickly done, you're going to get action.
Yeah.
Probably. I mean, people want to flex. People want to see a TIE fighter pilot fight. They want to see Jedis, beheading stormtroopers, things of that nature. So if it's shorts, you might find like no cohesion, but instead the theme being that we're in Star Wars and that it is animated by animators.
And that's where I say, like, it could just be like the Animatrix, where it was a loose collection of stories of different styles. There's another one that does that. The Halo. There's a Halo one that Halo Reach.
Oh yeah,
It does the same thing where it uses different animators to craft each episode. Although that one is way more connected story-wise. But yes, I'm totally down for a Star Wars anime and have been for, about 20 years.
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
Big time. One of my favorite movies of all time, any genre, Akira.
Oh, yeah. What's our next one here? Oh, a droid story.
So are we getting a sequel?
So this
Are we getting a sequel to Droids, guys?
This is an interesting prospect. I'm not sure what the target audience for this one is. I almost feel like this is going to be like your aim low show. This is going to be your youth audience, but talks about Droid Story will be an epic journey introducing us to a new hero guided by the legendary duo of R2-D2 and C-3PO.
No, absolutely. They got to work for somebody after Skywalker, right?
Did they? So in Droids, I don't feel like they had a real guiding hand in a lot of stuff. They just happened to bumble along through the various adventures of their respective owners.
Yeah, they had several different owners and the reasonable explanations from how they sort of transferred.
Yeah, how they went from
ownership.
owner to owner, yeah.
There's a little continuity error stuff going on there because Vader and a few characters are in those episodes, but they seem to happen pre-Empire. So that, and we do know that C-3PO was built by Anakin Skywalker. So
that's right.
There's, he ostensibly goes right from Anakin. Well, I guess he spends some years on Tatooine and then he gets brought back from Tatooine when Anakin was in his late teens. That's kind of grave. I gotta have to
presumably
check that out,
presumably when Watto sold Shmi, he probably sold 3PO along with her. Mm-hmm. For him to wind up at the Lars farm.
Doesn't 3PO come back with Anakin from Tatooine after he kills all the Tuskens?
He makes his way to Geonosis. Yeah, so he must be on board with Padme and Anakin. Yeah, because they both go to Geonosis. That's right.
Look what we do.
I
guys.
know.
I love it.
But again, Watto doesn't say how long ago he sold Shmi to Klieg Lars.
No.
So,
and that seems to me like I always got the impression that they, like a romantic comedy or even just like a drama, they slowly developed this. He would go to the same parts booth every day and flirt with the girl behind them. And so that one day he had enough money to buy her freedom. I'm buying her, but we're in love now, and I'm going to save up all my money to free you so that you can be my wife.
Right. That's a way more compelling story.
Well, certainly. And I mean, how close did we veer towards, when they show her die? And it's probably, for me, the darkest moment in any of Star Wars at all. Darker than Anakin turning, darker than she's got her clothes ripped. She's horribly brutalized.
It's one of the best death scenes.
Backwards to a big X. Like they've been having their way with her.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And there's some connotation, So for me, that was almost, whoa! How dark are you going there?
Yeah.
I don't know where I'm going. I'm just going off on the Shmi rape.
We went from we totally got away from the droids.
Yes, we did.
On Tusken Rapers.
Watch Droids, kids.
Yes.
No Shmi rape.
So yeah, interesting to know where this is gonna land. Is it gonna be like, side stories like 3PO turned up in Rogue One for his big walk-on moment? Like, why does nobody tell me anything? Is it gonna be something like that where it's shoehorned between episodes, or
is it going to fall after Rise of Skywalker?
After Rise of Skywalker,
and then introduce us maybe to the future of Broom Kid,
Broom Boy.
Yeah,
maybe
Broom Boy. Maybe it's a dangling thread. I had this whole overarching theory, and it stayed with me until Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah,
and I guess maybe Last Jedi too. And it was the theory that the entire movie set of Star Wars had a narrator. But the narrator wasn't overt, like narrating over top of it in your head. But that the whole story was through the lens of one character.
R2-D2.
And that character was R2-D2.
Yeah, of course.
And they actually kill that by putting him in a coma.
I know.
In the last two movies.
Yeah.
So there's no way he can know huge chunks of that story. But I always strongly felt like that R2 was telling you the story.
Yeah.
That it literally it picks up with him on the ship on the Queen's ship on the Naboo royal ship.
That's right.
And we follow his version of the story. Like he's present for Luke's training. He's present for Vader's turn. He's like, there's so many things there, and then they trash that in those. So maybe there's going to be a little redemption there in terms of his knowing the whole story. I also, and I don't know if it's canon. It can't be. I don't know how it works. He's got blood in him, but I always felt strongly that R2 was force sensitive.
I don't know.
He exhibits. I could break it down for you. My theory. I got it on paper somewhere. I'll send it to you if I find it. But he exhibits force-like abilities dozens and dozens of times in the movies.
We should
precog, all kinds of things. There's some really neat stuff there that we.
So we should take that and turn it into an episode on its own. Yeah, we can do a whole episode on that. I think that would be a fun conversation to have.
I'm down.
Yeah, on one of the many, many, many Star Wars episodes that I'm sure we're going to do over the coming months and years. So that's it. We got a droid story, and then the other Lucasfilm announcements that were not Star Wars that came out, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because that's not what we're here to talk about. But a Willow series starring Warwick Davis.
I'm excited for that one.
Me too. Really loved the movie.
Me too.
I love that movie. I love Warwick Davis. I loved the series that Ricky Gervais wrote for him that only ran for like one season. If you haven't, do you remember what it's called, Andy? The Short Life?
Send me a link after.
Is it The Short Life?
I think so.
Hi, Ricky Gervais, Stephen Merchant, and Warwick Davis. On the set of our sitcom Life's Too Short.
Warwick Davis plays a parody of himself. It's so
I was
awesome.
going to say it's the reality show with Warwick Davis, and I guess it's not necessarily a reality
show.
show.
No. It's a parody of him, but it's so well done. Like, Warwick Davis is seriously underrated as an actor. Yes, he's made his life out of Star Wars, but he is so much more than that.
So much
that
more.
in the Leprechaun series.
Yeah, and then
Time Bandits.
The other one, it's not even on this. It's funny because it's not even in this article. Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones is coming. Indy 5. I think there's some dates now attached to it.
And Harrison Ford returns.
Harrison Ford, yeah.
I had heard rumors too, and I don't know how strong they are. I mean, we always take these things with a grain of salt, but I had heard they were waiting for the face tech, the aging tech, to be perfect.
Is it there? I think it's there now. It's definitely close.
Really close. Captain Marvel for me was a stunning example of that. Not the strongest
for Sam
Marvel
Jackson,
movie, but watching Sam
and
Jackson
Coulson?
For ostensibly more than half the movie be 30 years old was seamless.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that aspect of it too. There's a guy out there who just did. Somebody posted it up, and I caught the link. I should see if I can find it. A fan has taken the scenes from Rogue One with Tarkin and Carrie Fisher and has actually improved them. You know what I mean? Like, to make
totally
them
doable.
Yeah. So I mean, if some guy can do that at home, on what a regular dude can do, like when you've got a major film studio behind you, yeah,
Industrial Light and Magic.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And it's weird. So being as big of like, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. It's probably my biggest fandom. I have a few other ones. Marvel Comics being a very, very close second.
Yeah.
I'm not all that excited about the Marvel announcements.
Yeah,
Really?
in fact, I didn't even.
I'm stoked about them.
I'm probably going to go out and do a post on this later to put out the Marvel announcements. But I thought, because it was coming up on our weekly review, that we would be remiss not to talk about the Star Wars announcements.
No, certainly. And I thought at one point I was thinking, all these new shows, we could probably do Marvel shows. We could probably do,
I think there's definitely room to do as many of these as we can handle.
We're all Marvel fans as well. But
There was a great meme I saw yesterday come up, and it's
Yes.
the Homer, and he's been sent to hell. And he's like, here, have all the donuts. Well, they've replaced it. Here, have all the Star Wars in the world.
Yeah.
And then the little tagline after, what is it? Rian Johnson went crazy after 15 minutes.
Right.
And he's like, more, please.
The announcement came out Thursday. It's now Saturday, and already the as I said on one Facebook comment, I said, "Oh, Star Wars, the toxic fans strike back." People are already complaining that, are we headed for another case of burnout like we got by dropping The Last Jedi and Solo within 6 months of each other? But I don't think so. I think the timing and the spacing is going to be as such that it will be a nice, slow infusion over the coming months and years.
I agree. I think that they learned a lot with the Netflix series. I know it's not Disney controlled, but I think that the Marvel Studios learned a lot with those series and what you could get away with, what you can do. And so I think you'll get that, especially the Filoni driven stuff that intertwines and connects, and super excited about it. I mean, I keep saying it's the Renaissance, but I couldn't have enough Star Wars. You couldn't give me enough. I'd be trying to invent my own stuff if you weren't giving me stuff. So,
and that's why
I'm super happy to be alive right now in terms of this.
I mean, we've been doing this for over 20 years, and that's why such an appeal to the role-playing game. It's like you say, if you're not going to give it to me, I'm going to make my own.
Yeah, and I said that to you before. Like,
absolutely.
If I were sitting alone in my apartment with my wife, we'd be analyzing the show like this anyway.
You'd be theorizing and you'd be putting stuff together, trying to connect those dots.
Minus an outlet, which this is amazing for.
Oh my God, yes. Yeah. I've said it before. I'll say it again. This is the highlight of my week, is to come back and talk about this stuff. It really makes me feel like I'm capturing some of my youth again. But I want to talk about the announcements, of the Lucasfilm announcements. What are we most excited for? If you had to, top 2 or 3.
I knew that we were getting Obi, and I knew we were getting Andor, and I'm super excited for both of them. I'm extra excited for Obi in terms of all things, but I didn't know how excited I was for the return of Ahsoka Tano until I saw that episode.
Yeah.
And now that's the one that has me hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah, my top 3 would be Obi-Wan Kenobi, Andor, Ahsoka. Top 3. How about you, Andy? What do you think?
My top 3, probably pretty close. Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, and then I'm really interested for that Rangers of the New
Republic Rangers,
just because it connects.
Yeah, I think that's a good point to close on, is those 2 series, Ahsoka and New Republic Rangers. Given what we do here on Fandom Power Presents The Fandalorian, you can bet your ass we're going to dig hard on those, and we'll definitely review those. I think that those 2, our style of review, our beat by beat long form storytelling style, I think will make for a very interesting process to see how those 3 weave together.
Yeah, it will, because we might have to do intermediate woven episodes.
Oh my Lord, yeah.
You will, yeah.
It'll be the
live stream the rest of our lives.
it'll be the CW crossover events that they did with all the superhero shows, where holy Christ, we got to watch 5 shows to get the whole story.
Crisis on Infinite Star Wars.
Only good, yeah.
Sorry about that, DC.
Well, as we said, there were lots more announcements. It was the Disney Stakeholder Day, and it was all of the big tentpole stuff that's coming down the line, but really super excited about the Star Wars projects that are coming. Also really disappointed that we got to wait a whole year, December 25th, 2021 for season 3 of The Mandalorian, but we're going to have a steady
one of the shows in between.
We're going to have a steady infusion of entertainment properties from the Mouse House for the foreseeable future. Oh, also on that note, I just want to point out, this is a little addendum. There was talk about Disney shutting down Hulu, which is not available. They have a controlling majority of it when they got Fox. So I saw it this morning. They are doing that, in fact, and so they're rolling out their international version of Hulu, and it's called Star.
Yeah,
and it's going to be
bundled with Disney.
It's going to go on to your Disney Plus subscription. They're going to raise the base cost of Disney Plus by $3, but you're not going to have to buy it as an add-on. So
that's really cool, actually.
For us living in Canada, that's a huge deal.
That's a huge deal. There's a lot on Hulu that I just drool over, actually. And there is a version, I've heard there's a version where you don't have to bundle it, and it's just $1 more.
You could just buy
all the new content. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Anyway, I'm excited.
I can't wait.
I'm excited for the future of streaming. I'm excited for the future of Star Wars. And yeah, I'm glad that we took the time to talk about what's coming. And hopefully you guys enjoyed it. And as soon as stuff starts rolling, we'll be reviewing. So I guess that's it for me, guys.
Amazing.
All right, guys. Well,
Future's bright.
next week is chapter 16. It's the penultimate episode of season 2. I cannot wait. I'll be giddy like a schoolgirl, I'm sure.
Oh man, all week is just gonna be that.
I know. Fortunately, I'm going Christmas shopping tomorrow, so I'll have some distractions. But
after 15 Christmases in a row, we finally get actual Christmas.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, guys. That's it for me, and let's pick it up again next week where we do it all over again. Chapter 16. Join us here. Fandom Power presents The Fandalorian, and bye for now.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to Fandom Power. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Stay tuned for our next episode where we'll be talking about another one of your favorite fandoms. Fandom Power is a Sawcast production.